Hi, it's Jason, and I'm here with Shane White, local comics creator. Well, local-ish.
Yeah,
Welcome.
thank you.
How's your Jet City going so far?
Jet City's doing great. Yeah, it feels just like the Emerald City Comic Con, and it's got the same amount of traffic and the same amount of love for comics. So that's what it's all about.
All right. So let's start at the beginning. When did you first start drawing comics? And who was the first character that really captured your attention?
Oh boy, let's see. I think I was two. I was drawing Spider-Man.
Wow, 2 years old.
Yeah, it was a stick figure Spider-Man, but you knew it was Spider-Man because the face actually looked like Spider-Man, except he didn't have the same body type.
So what you're saying is at 2, you were still more talented than me at drawing. That's fair. Okay, good. So to get more, like, when did you first start thinking that you could do something more with your art? Were you a teenager? Did it get till college? Where was that?
Oh, if you really want to know, grade school. I mean, I was, I don't know. I guess I was industrious enough to write people's names in like block letters or something for like ice cream money, and eventually I fleeced all my fellow students and amassed a small fortune. And I was like, I don't know, started that young, trying to make money, and then comics didn't really hit me until I was 12. I mean, I didn't realize there was people who actually drew them. I don't know why the brain disconnects, but at age 12, I was just smitten with the whole idea of drawing comics.
Okay. So you have done some independent work, and you've worked for some of the bigger companies. Were you first starting when you decided to start drawing your own stories? Were you focused more on telling your own stories, or did you want to be like the next writer of Spider-Man or Batman?
Well, you know, it's weird because like when I started in small press back in the mid '80s, and so I was doing a lot of mini comics and digest stuff, and I was advertising in the trades for the small press, and kind of got some experience doing that. And then I knew I wanted to make a living in comics. It's just, you know, I didn't know what I was going to draw, but I knew I had a passion for storytelling. I mean, I grew up on Dr. Seuss, and I grew up just loving books. And my parents had an old collection of books from the 30s and 40s, and that just really cemented my idea of what books could be. And so as I got older, I kept writing and drawing, and I thought, well, eventually I'll try to work for Marvel or DC or something, and who knows if you'll ever be capable of it. But as I was developing my so-called style, I focused more on storytelling, and everybody switched from storytelling to drawing cool poses. So the 90s was full of cool poses, and I was doing this traditional stuff. So it was kind of, I kept missing the beats, you know. And then I seriously started submitting some of my work to Fantagraphics and all over the place, and amassed a nice stack of rejection slips. And yeah, you know, and then I got a few hits here and there doing little projects.
Okay.
But
so your first full graphic novel was North Country.
Yeah.
And that was you and growing up in upstate New York.
Northern New York.
Northern New York.
Upstate.
Okay. Yeah, not upstate. All right.
Very
fair
different.
enough. And I think you got in right about the time just before that came full circle, where people were starting to write personal stories again, or right about the same time, where people not just writing it, but it was getting recognition.
Yeah.
Especially on the independent side.
Yeah, Greg Thompson's Blankets came out, and I remember walking into Mocha, I think it was the year that it came out, and the line was like all the way outside of the building, and I'm like, what's all this about? And I just saw this huge volume, and I'm like, wow, this guy, he likes to do artwork. So I was like,
absolutely.
And I don't know, I think I had just inked the deal with NBM to do North Country, and I was just like seeing that autobiographical works were kind of taking off, and I thought, you know, I've always kind of talking about my childhood and growing up in Northern New York. It's unique, and yet I think it's familiar to people. It's not I don't know, it's one of those things. It's just like it's a personal journey, but I think it's universal in its emotional content. So I wanted to try something, and they were just really receptive to the fact that I was going to do this first project, full color, writing and drawing, and I just was like, sure, eat it up, as creative as I can be. I poured everything I could into it.
Okay. And then you went in a different direction with your next one.
Yes.
Because zombies, I'm guessing that zombies are not from your personal history.
Well, it is.
Oh, all right.
I mean, kind of.
How you know?
So. Well, it's weird because I had gotten an offer to do a zombie story for a small company, and I read the script, and it was just like, I just don't connect with it. What's the motivation of a zombie, and the whole brains thing? I'm like, that's not enough. The hunger and the pain with that. I'm like, well, let's like break that down. What does that mean to be hungry and to feel dead inside? And so I thought there's got to be something metaphorically that we can relate to. And so I explored that because I didn't think anyone was really doing that kind of work, and I wrote something that works for me. So.
That's fair.
Semi-autobiographical.
Okay.
So
yeah, I mean, everybody's had that bad relationship where it went so sour that you're just you are stumbling through the day much like a zombie.
Yeah, you're numb and you don't feel anything, and you feel dead inside, and you want to feel something, and yeah.
And you want your own brain to be eaten, but still. It's,
exactly.
So tell us a little about Overman, because I'm not as familiar with that, but I know you've got a number of volumes, so...
Well, it was a 5-issue series, and it took over about 20 years to put together with my friend Scott Reed. And we'd gone to college together and roomed together, and we had worked on this story for a long time, but it was just much bigger than the both of us. So it took a while to really develop into seasoned artists and writers, and when we finally hit that apex where it's like, hey, we might be able to do this, they were receptive at Image to print it. So yeah, we basically just pitched it to them, and they were like, yeah, they got behind it. But like some things, it didn't really find its audience as we hope it would have. So
all right. Fair
so
enough.
I mean, the gist of it is a guy he's a serial killer who works for a corporation, and he finds out that they're trying to manufacture the next step in evolution by splicing alien genes with human genes, and he has to stop it, and he fails. So, oh well.
What are you doing now? What's your current project, or what projects, if you've got multiple?
Well, I just did an issue of 1 Month to Live for Marvel, and that was it came out last week, and I've got nothing really on the radar right now. I mean, I might be doing some storyboard work for another video game company, possibly, and then I'm going to the New York show to sort of cement myself in with a few editors to see if they'd take a look at some other styles that I work in, to hopefully get some work down the road. But if not, I'll just come back and work on this 5-issue robot series that I've got going.
Okay. And so, I mean, you've been in the comics industry for a long time. Even with the small press, you've been doing it a long time. And what I noticed is you definitely, it's not just that your style has developed from one side to another. You actually do try to work in different areas and really make your art look different from work to work. That's pretty rare for somebody to be able to do. Most people are really locked into a specific idea or style. What was it for you? Did you always try to do that, to develop that, or was it something you found as you worked along? Something that inspired you within each story, really?
Well, it's kind of twofold. I mean, I started in T-shirt design back when I first got out of college, and we did a lot of licensed work. So I was drawing Warner Brothers stuff, Rocketeer, Harley Davidson, Simpsons. I mean, I had to adapt. And talk about social, like having no social identity. It's like artistic identity was just right behind it. I didn't know who I was for years, and it's just like, well, then I started thinking about, like, actors, every time they take on a role, they are trying to live the life of the character. And I thought, every story has its own voice, and if you use the same brush the same way for every story, then what's that really saying? Your voice becomes too heavy-handed. It's like, adapt to it and have fun with it, And I think it keeps me flexible, it keeps me thinking, and most importantly, it's not boring, you know? I'm interested.
Heaven forbid.
Yeah, heaven forbid.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time.
I appreciate it, man.
All right.
Take care.